Very bad keyboard.
ठीक है नहीं करेगा लैपटॉप का वॉल्यूम तो 0 है
अभी ठीक है मैं भी जॉइन कर लीजिए So before we start, how are your projects coming along? Many project matters. So when is a start your project? How is it coming along? Okay. Yeah. What is the status of the project as of now?
अभी उसके बाद फाइनलाइज हो गया पीसी का काम पहले तो उसको सिर्फ पीसी
PCB डिजाइन देना है या PCB प्रिंटेड देना है? तो हम फ्राइडे तक हमको फर्स्ट PCB डिजाइन दे देंगे कौन कौन है टीम में आप लोगों का क्या करना है
सर करने वाला है स्कीमेटिक में लेआउट बना रहे हैं
अब आप लेआउट बना रहे हो आप लोग नई टीम में
जो आई इंस्ट्रक्टर को चालू
आएंगे अभी खुशहाल तो वेदांत की क्लास पर आएंगे
We both have a meeting and the Rishabh also. Mara is schematic.
So I was expecting कि PCB का लेआउट होना चाहिए आपके पास देखो जितना आप यहाँ पे टाइम एक्स्ट्रा लगा लोगे उतना आपको अपने प्रोजेक्ट पे टाइम लगाने मिलेगा and this is kind of dummy project. All this you have to do with your factual later जो आपको डिजाइन करना है सब कुछ करना है So coming to this, are we expecting more people than it? You know, if there's a number now. Just call them. Sorry. Do you think we should go? This class was supposed to start at 11:15. So we 11:30. This is our sense of timeliness to productive one day. Let me just see. Okay, so we'll not wait any further, we will start. So what were you doing in the last class? What were we doing in the last class? So since it's very few of us, why don't you come a little closer? इस तरह के सेशन में जितने कम लोग हों, एक्चुअली इतना और हम इंटीमेट सेशन कर सकते हैं. We can actually discuss so much more and still move faster. So whenever are not there, you are at an advantage. But let's look at what did we do in the last class?
About habits.
Talked about habits. Okay, before that. Talked about how a leader, when we say leading self to excellence, we spend some time on the term leader and manager. How is a leader different from a manager?
Leading people versus managing people. Leading is when people really watch.
Session that I tell leading self to excellence for mission people. This was the discussion we had last time. What are we leading? What is it? What is leading? How is a leader different from a manager?
Leading is always towards the goal.
Leader is always towards a goal. Okay.
The difference might be in the sense of taking responsibility for whatever leader who take responsibility for whatever goes on and whatever goes. Whereas a manager might only take responsibility for whatever goes right in the.
So, what you were saying that a leader takes responsibility for things that go right and also for those that go wrong. Whereas a manager would take responsibility only for things that go right. Okay. That's one view. What had we discussed?
I would have to be on the same. you leading yourself means after failure, getting up and getting yourself ready for the next task and continuing. But managing yourself means after a failure, you just getting things right that are messed up. And I mean,
Interesting. So leading means that not giving up, even in the face of failure, trying something new. Managing means that if you fail, then you just somehow get things in order again and get going. Okay. What have we discussed? Okay, coming up with new definitions of leader versus manager. What have we discussed? हमने क्या कहा था आपके हफ्ते बाद ये सारे सवाल पूछोगे अगर हफ्ते में एक सवाल पूछे जाएंगे so when we are such a small group of people it is also more important that you are really actively engaged. What is the difference between a leader and a manager?
One thing is leading towards a goal and managing is just in the meanwhile managing everything.
Yes, this was one thing that we had very strongly established once, and that a leader carries a vision. They have some vision which is beyond the obvious, beyond the present. A manager operates on a plan which is available in the present, or a goal that is also given to them in the present, and they're managing their affairs. Are you with me? So that is what is what is so that is what is the difference that we arrive at between a leader and a manager. Yes, there were all these things that we discussed that a good leader would take ownership of failures also. We should not really say a manager would not. A good manager would also take ownership of failure. It is more about personal integrity and ethics. It is more about that. It is not the difference between leadership and management. It is about character. That if something failed, you take the responsibility, you own it up. Someone who doesn't do that, he's just trying to shy away from their responsibility. So, yes, a good leader will definitely take care of those aspects. But the key difference between a leader and a manager is leader has a goal.
did we survive the question?
Foundation of effectiveness.
So we deliberated a little on the difference between success and effectiveness. How is success different from effectiveness?
Effectiveness can be repeated. If you were affected at some point, the success can be repeated. If you fail even at once, it can be repeated. One time success can be with the luck also and other factors. So being effective is right. You can repeat it.
So when your success is an outcome of systematic effort or processes or the way you have invested yourself into something, such that you can repeat it as many number of times. It is sustainable, it is repeatable, then we call it as effectiveness. Success It simply means that you met your objectives by hook or by crook or by luck. So that is how effectiveness and success are differentiated. And we want to be effective or we want to be successful. तो आप ये बोल रहे हो आपसे एक हफ्ता पहले आप क्या बोलते हैं? So that is the paradigm that the society gives us. कि successful हो जाओ. And the moment you only think of success, you can think of hook and crook. Am I right? But when we talk of effectiveness, then it is about working on oneself, working on the entire, you say, ecosystem, so that you can repeat success over and over again. Are you able to see this? See, अगर आप कल को एक startup खोलते हो, you want to just get first set of funds and be done with, or you want the startup to grow and kind of scale up and become a unicorn or something like that. So if you really want to make it big, then what is needed? Effectiveness. Because success is one-time thing, but effectiveness ensures that you can repeat it over and over again. And in my experience, if you are effective in one thing, or if you know the art of being effective, then whatever could be the goal. I mean, when a startup or any one of you may join a job, is your goal only to get into some company or then do well there also? If the objective is just get into a company, you're calling it success. But if the idea is to build a long-term career, then we have to be effective. Are you able to see this? Then what next? We talked about the foundations. And what did we talk about in terms of foundation? Foundation कैसी होनी चाहिए? Strong. कितनी strong? Notice जुगी बनानी है. कितनी strong foundation? जुगी. Shadow. कितनी strong foundation चाहिए? मैं देखें वो फिर बात करता है साइड. उनकी foundation होती है. लेकिन आपको क्या कहते हैं? ये वाले ग्रेडिंग भी बनाए हैं. आपको पेट्रोनास टॉवर्स बनाए हैं. टॉवर बिल्डिंग. कितनी foundation चाहिए? Depending on how high you want it, how much depth you will need, depending on how long you want the thing to survive, you will need that kind of depth. So now the question is, do you want just a quick grade in a course? Or are you looking at building a career which is long term and takes you to heights which others have not even imagined? Even you have not imagined. What kind of foundation do you need? What would be foundations if we talk of it in terms of your career?
Fundamentals, all that you learn should be on our depths. You should know what you're actually doing.
So आप लोग कौन सी ब्रांच में हो? कुछ इसी में है, कुछ डिजाइन, bioscience. So what are the foundations for you? अगर हम आपके करियर की बात.
For me, it's basically design principles बहुत अच्छे से पता होना चाहिए. How research methods are designed, वो चीज़ अच्छे से होना चाहिए. And I should, if I'm even doing a CS part of in or electronics, I should implement all the design principles that I've learned and ways of working out.
Coding and computer basics, computer organization. Okay.
So how can we use that in the job? Wherever we want to use that skill, like discipline and work ethics matter.
Discipline and work ethics also matter. Okay. Skills, knowledge and skills required. Okay.
I think they're given most of the answers. But I think it depends on what career you have or the person. And as I'm in software, so I should have strong comfort on the software skills like tools and technologies and code, all these things.
So the courses that you will be introduced to or taught in the initial part of the program, they are foundational. The core courses in your branch and you consider as foundational. Because इनको core क्यों बनाया गया? क्योंकि people who are much more experienced than you from industry and from academia sat together and assess that if you do this course, it will help you have a good career. And if you're getting this degree, then at least this much you should know. Are you getting it? उसके बाद electives हैं. जो core courses हैं, जो आपके mandatory courses हैं, they are essentially the foundation. Are you able to see this? And then someone wants to build a tower like this, they will choose one set of electives. Another person wants to build a tower in this manner, which one set of electives. Electives are what you will be able to build on the foundation of the core courses. So, हम जब यहाँ पे फाउंडेशंस की बात कर रहे हैं, तो क्या बात कर रहे हैं हम? When we are talking about foundation over here, what are we doing? Habits. Yes, we'll talk about habits. But actually, before we even talk about the first habit, we'll talk about some foundations on which to build the 7 habits. Habit की हमने बात करी थी. Habit is an intersection of knowledge, skills, and desire. And when these 3 come together, wherever there is an intersection, we are able to form a habit. And then we had also looked at one very important rule that will maintain the confidentiality of whatever any one of us may discuss. Whatever we bring on the table, we'll keep it here. We will not form opinions or judgments about people based on what we share over here. And then with this safeguard in place, with this boundary put in place, we also said that we would want to be as open as possible. Because अगर हम open नहीं होंगे तो क्या होगा? आपके साथ क्या होगा? तो हम ये कैसे बता पाएंगे? ये हमें कहाँ करेक्ट करना है? So it is extremely important that we remain open. Because as we go through the sessions over time, we would want to challenge some of our assumptions. And unless we are open, those challenges will simply fall back. We will not be able to benefit from those challenges, we will not be able to reflect and retrain our brain to choose a different response. Are you with me? Yes. Okay. So there is this beautiful graphic that AI made used in our last lecture, where we had discussed from a state of survival where we may really exist and moving to a state of significance where we leave behind a legacy. We talked about the difference between managing, which is putting things in order, and leading, which was about moving towards the goal. And we talked about this chain that thoughts lead to actions, actions, when repeated, lead to habits, habits build a character, and a character results in a destiny. We talked about effectiveness, how it is different from success, and what to do, how to do, and why to do. Are you with me? So we already discussed all of this, but this is one quick summary of what we had done in the last session. What is this? What does this appear to be? A road leading to where? Forest. Do you know all this is just one tree? This is in the J.C. Bose National Park near Kolkata. This banyan tree has an area of about 6.7 acres. It is about 200 years old. And the forest kitna hai, it is a forest. This one tree. How did this happen? How can this banyan tree grow so big?
Only that.
Resilience.
You see. 6.7 acres चला ये नहीं कैसे पाया?
Is it that the tree alone?
Okay, so many trees are just one tree in a barren land. It doesn't at once go into a forest. What does a banyan tree do differently from other trees? Why it can have such a broad, wide canopy?
Hanging.
That's straight roots. What do these roots do?
Well, this supported the canopy.
These roots come out from the branches and they support the branches. They start to even bring nutrition from the soil into the branches and let the branches grow out further. Just keep this thing with you that one single banyan tree consuming or covering an area of 6.7 acres because of its stilt roots. And you know how many stilt root it has? 3,700. 3,700 stilt roots to support this huge canopy of 6.7 acres. There are banyan trees, जिसका main trunk was eaten away by termite. But the tree thrives. How? The stilt roots. Are you with me? So, if an organism has to grow, It depends on some roots. Let's look at another example. These are the redwood trees of California, and they are about 3 times taller than the Empire State Building. And the Chotusa, this one over here, is a typical apple tree. How did this tree grow so tall? How is apple tree not able to grow that tall as these trees are able to?
The pure structure is designed in the resolution.
Because
The internal structures are designed for use in that will give the income.
इसी तरह के स्ट्रक्चर आपके conifers में होते हैं. They are not, they never do that.
The blades that are out there, plus their size is also like this, and if they grow tall, air can't pass through.
The air can't pass there.
These trees are adapted in a way that even if a storm comes or something, they can stand. They might have a strong foundation, strong bark.
So is the foundation of tree its bark? Bark is dead tissue, you know that?
I think the roots are much more deeper than a normal tree.
So in reality, the roots of these trees are also not very, very deep. They're also pretty shallow. But what they do is they collaborate with each other. We'll talk much more about it towards the later part of this series. But these redwood trees have interlocking roots. So that even when a storm comes and one tree is experiencing stress, the strength that comes from being together, that prevents them from falling. So because they're able to tide over storms year over year over year, they simply keep on going. Apple trees, on the other hand, because they don't interlock their roots, everything else remains same. Storm comes, they fall. The top, the biggest branches on the top would fall. They could never be able to grow as tall as redwood trees. So again, what came to the rescue? Collaboration at the level of roots. Why am I talking about roots so much?
We like that paper.
Because what you need to understand is that if you really need to have tall trees, tall careers, make an impact in the world in a meaningful way, then if you do not focus on the roots, you will not be able to grow. We see this all around us in nature, that if we focus on the roots, the plant will thrive. Is it not? So what are our roots? So this is again this redwood tree. This is how tall it looks. And I'm not sure if I have, I don't know class. So I've changed the slide on my screen. It is not changing here. So यहाँ पे ना एक इंसान इसके अंदर छोटू सा दिखेगा. So it's just one tree. And this is surrounded by so many other redwood trees. And the roots are pretty shallow. At least in terms of the height of the tree, the roots are really sharp. But they survive and thrive simply because they develop the roots. So what is roots for us? Our fundamentals are
Foods that used
that's also fine. What are roots for you as a human?
is that
Desires.
the values which we follow, which we be.
The values which we follow and which we believe in. Okay, interesting. So keep these points with you because I will challenge each one of them later. How will we do them? Okay, or what is your root? What ensures that you? So he's saying that my desires fuel my growth. He's saying my values ensure that I grow. What else? What do you think? What ensures that you grow?
Work ethic.
Work ethic. Okay, interesting.
Skills.
Skills.
Desire to know more.
Curiosity. Okay, curiosity makes you grow. Interesting.
Goal. Asset goal.
Having a goal lets you grow. Okay. What is the basis of it? Where you derive your nutrition from?
Mindset.
Mindset. Okay, interesting.
Are you asking individual or
For you,
responsibility?
responsibility that you show them. That helps you grow. Okay, very beautiful. Sure.
Doing a work without any expecting any output from it.
Son.
Basically, something was, it worked out for me last semester. Doing the work without expecting the output, it worked out for me last semester.
Doing the work without expecting any output.
Because at that time you don't have any pressure, so you were just freely performing.
But do you have a goal? Do you want to achieve that goal? Still doing the work. without
I'm doing my
expecting-
duty. I'm doing my duty.
You're doing your duty. So being dutiful. Fuels your growth. What else? We'll come to what Stephen said. We'll come to what is the framework and internal habits. But what do we think as of now? It's important to understand that first. No? Because only once we understand what our present belief system is, can we create something new? अभी हमने थोड़ी देर पहले एक तो बात करी openness. Because openness अगर नहीं होगी तो फिर हम change कैसे करेंगे? How do we install better? So suppose आपके पास अभी एक faulty operating system है. आपको एक नया ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम लगाना है तो प्रेजेंट वाले को कुछ तो समझना पड़ेगा ना कि कौन सा पैच लगाना है तो देखना पड़ेगा ना. If you do not speak out, if you do not reflect and share, how will you pass those things on? You add some thoughts, but you can add more. What drives your, what do you think if you have a very successful meaning, बहुत ही brilliant, dazzling career ahead of you. What would take you there? Consistency. Very interesting. Very nice. Points. What are our roots? Maybe total
The environment that we put ourselves in.
the environment that we put ourselves in. So that's very interesting. You're talking about the environment, but then you're also talking about the choice of choosing that. Very nice. Let's pick a few of these things up and let's start with the most obvious. My skills will take me through to a very successful long-term career. Uh, there are people who have wonderful oratory skills. They enter into a debate and they will win the debate. But same, they are not truthful. You trust them. Do you collaborate with them? Do you think they will be successful? They have their one success, second success they may get. But when it comes to really making a difference, influencing people and bringing about long-term change, all their oratory skills will be set aside. Is it not? Same thing. Have you seen people around you from the best of colleges who are struggling? Have you seen? Very skilled, very sharp, but not really that epitome of leadership or success that you would aspire to be like them. So skills alone cannot drive your growth relentlessly. Are you with me? Skills are important. I'm not saying skills are not. Skills are very important. Let's try this example. Suppose you go to a hospital and you have to be operated upon. The person comes and says, I really love you. I will take care of you. Let me do your operation. You are. So the guy come and tell you, oh, you are my student. So I really want you to succeed in that. I really genuinely want you to succeed. Let me do your operation. Will you allow me? Well, however much well-meaning I may be, I do not have the skills to operate. The same thing was something about a technical course that I teach. You will see, yes, there are the advanced. But when it comes to operating on you, I do not have the right skill set. However well-meaning I may be, if the skills are not there, you'll not even let me touch you. Is it not? So skills are important. Only skills. There are lots of very skilled people around us who we do not consider as successes, who do not consider as effective. Is it not? और क्या बोला था आपने? Values. Values. Values में थोड़ा टाइम में आएंगे. Values is a very different topic that we discuss. But अभी हम ये मान लेते हैं that what Ujjwal means with values is something about what we value, what we cherish.
इस बेसिस पे हम लोग चलते हैं कि morality हमारी कैसी है,
Morality.
सारी चीजें.
Yes, I do. So we will talk about values and morality in the next session. Is that okay? इसको भी साइड पे रखते हैं. What else?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. Do you think only curiosity will take you there?
What curiosity but
You are saying this, that curiosity helps us to remain open. And that could be an important trait to be successful. Because only when you are open, you will be curious to learn more. If you think I know everything, will you ever try to learn anything new? So curiosity is one trait that will help us. What else?
Discipline, hard work, and consistency.
Discipline, hard work, and consistency. Very interesting. So when I meet you, do I get to see how disciplined you are? Is it written on your face? No, this I'm disciplined. When I meet you, do I ever get to see how consistent you are? मैं आपसे handshake कर रहा हूँ और visitor comes, takes hand for you. Will they come to know how consistent you are? So these are hidden things, is that right? They are valuable. अगर आप disciplined हो, अगर आप consistent हो, अगर आप करो हो, meticulous हो, तो जो आपसे अभी मिलेगा just acquaintance करेगा, they may not see these things just yet. Over time, they will sense this. Let's take the example of the trees that we were talking about. When you look at a tree, if I ask you to draw a tree, hardly anyone of you will make the roots. Because when I ask you to draw a tree, what will you do? A trunk and a canopy. Okay. But is the tree a tree because of that? अभी हमने देखा that a tree exists or thrives because of its roots. They're not visible. The same is true with us. What truly determines our success is not visible to the outside. So skills like how well I speak, how I dress up, all those things can be important. Because अगर ये ट्री होगा उससे पत्ते नहीं होंगे तो भी वो ट्री ग्रो नहीं कर पाएगा ऐसे ना अगर मैंने एक ट्री के ऊपर से उसकी पूरी की पूरी बात हटा दी रूट्स हैं भी तो भी वो ट्री ग्रो नहीं कर सकता अगर मैं ट्री के ऊपर उसकी ट्रंक पे एक पूरा क्लियर सर्कल बना दूं जहां पे बात है ही नहीं the tree will die within 2 years. Here's the clue. What we see as dead bark, water flows up. Water doesn't reach the leaves. No food is manufactured. Even though the entire trunk is ready to distribute the food to everywhere else, there's no food, there's no water. In fact, this is one way, one terrible, bad way, very effective way, by which these builders, territories, they distribute the bark. So then 2 years ago, right? And this is the dead tree is what happened. No permission needed. So for us, the roots are what we call as our character. Because our character is not evident, not visible the day someone meets you. It reveals itself over time. How does it reveal yourself? Through our actions. So our actions are our personality, our behaviors are our personality. And until the roots are strong, whatever we may do, हम कितना भी सुंदर ऊपर की गानक को सजा लें, the tree will not grow unless the roots are strong. Are you with me? Shall we look at how Stephen introduces this concept differentiation between character and personality?
The development of the 7 Habits began with a study I completed in 1976. I wanted to study the success idea in America and how it evolved. So I got into the popular success literature going back for 200 years. This included many books, magazine articles, annotated bibliography, summaries, reviews. I literally tapped into thousands and thousands of sources, either directly or indirectly. As I worked, I started to sense a pattern. As soon as I sensed this pattern, I looked for evidence of it, and the evidence was everywhere. The basic finding was this. For the first 150 years, almost the entire focus of the literature was on character, on principles, on what we might call the character ethic. Attributes such as integrity, fidelity, courage, compassion, contribution, responsibility, justice. These findings became the basis for writing the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And then, because of many societal forces, the emphasis gradually shifted in the early 1900s, particularly in the 20s and the 30s, away from the character ethic to what we might call the personality ethic, which focused more on techniques than on principles. You are probably familiar with many books that illustrate the literature of the personality ethic. They basically deal with how to take care of yourself, how to look good, how to dress in particular ways, how to create the right image. In other words, the personality ethic focuses on how to appear to be rather than on how to actually be. Many of these techniques have real merit. However, if they don't have their roots in the character ethic, if they don't have their roots in principles, they won't have the power to create enduring effectiveness. For example, what if people learn techniques of influencing others, but they're fundamentally duplicitous or deceitful in their character? What if they really wanted to use people to build their own economic success? They might develop smoothness in their relationships so that they can have their own personal ends achieved, money, fame, glory, whatever. They really couldn't care less about contribution or service, purpose, adding value, helping others. How much trust would you have in them? How willing would you be to follow them or to rely upon them when things get tough? You know, one time I had a student come to me and say, "How am I doing in your class?" I looked him in the eye and said, "You really know how you're doing, don't you? A lot better than I do. How are you doing?" And he kind of looked down squeamishly. "Well, not too good, I guess. I just had kind of a rough time lately, and maybe I haven't applied myself as much as I should have." You really came to find out how well you'd psyched me out, how well you'd psyched out the system, isn't that right? When in fact, you kind of know in your heart how you're doing. "Well, how am I doing?" he said. "How are you doing?" Let's focus on what's really happening, not on what's appearing to happen. You see, this whole personality ethic with its technique focus is like the tip of an iceberg. The tip, or that part which is seen on the surface by others. It's above the water. The character ethic is like the great mass of the iceberg under the water. People often do no work in the foundation, where the great mass is, where the greatest long-term impact is. Too many people give all their energy and focus to the tip of the iceberg. That is, to learning techniques that others can see. You see this even in organizations, not just individuals. You see, programs change, practices change, principles do not change. If we help individuals and organizations to internalize principles, they will know how to adapt the practices to address specific situations. Let me emphasize that techniques have their place. They're very important. I really mean that. I mean, you want good human relations techniques, public relations techniques, communication techniques, management techniques. But when we use techniques to cover our own lack of character, they become manipulative. They undermine trust and confidence. You see, what we really need is the character ethic. And that's essentially what the 7 Habits is about. This material is based on an inside-out approach, meaning we give our first energies to our own character development before we focus on techniques or how to be more effective with others. Gandhi beautifully demonstrated this principle once. A mother came to him and said, "Would you help my child reduce the amount of sugar he is eating?" Gandhi paused, thought, and answered, "Well, talk to me in a week." A week later, the mother asked him again, and he talked to the boy, and the boy agreed. And the mother said, "Why didn't you talk with him last week?" Gandhi smiled and said, "You don't understand. Last week, I too was eating sugar." Unless we work on our character, we will not develop trustworthiness. And trustworthiness is built by the combination of both character and competency. We could have all of the ability in the world, but if we don't have the basic character to be reliable, to take responsibility, others will soon learn to distrust us. They're fearing that we're just trying to meet our own ends, perhaps at their expense. In my opinion, unless we return to the character ethic, we won't have the basic foundation of trustworthiness. That's what leads to trust, which is needed to build effective interpersonal relationships. In the final analysis, what we are communicates far more eloquently than anything we say or do. I love the quote of Henry David Thoreau: "For every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of evil, there is one striking at the root." In other words, let's work primarily on the roots to begin with and build a foundation of trustworthiness. This is one of the key areas of focus in the 7 Habits, to build character and competence and to restore trustworthiness and trust in our lives, in the lives of our families, our organizations. Trust and trustworthiness really are the basis of personal and interpersonal leadership. It's the foundation of all true effectiveness.
हाँ जी, क्या समझ में आया? Character versus personality.
The personality is what appears to be better than what affects you.
Personality is what appears to be, but the character is what you actually are. Where should your energies be going in? Building the character. What are the principles that he said these 7 habits are based on? We already listed down some principles amongst us before we approach the video. What are those principles?
Integrity, fidelity,
Integrity,
compassion,
Courage,
courage, compassion,
justice,
justice,
character.
integrity. So, what does integrity mean?
being true to yourself.
Being true to yourself. That also takes a lot of courage, by the way. But integrity, is it just being true to your oneself? Integrity is being true to oneself, to everyone around us. Whether anyone else is watching or not watching. So, if we focus on the roots, if we focus on developing trustworthiness. So, trustworthiness, what is trustworthiness?
Character and competency you have, so you just have the trustworthiness for someone else to trust you.
अभी जो हमने example लिया, I have all my good intentions. I really love you. You trust me completely in terms of my character. But I do not have the competence to even hold the scalpel where you will not let me touch you for such. Khali character doesn't lead to trust. You have to have the competence. You have to have the skills. Then, when both of them come together, people start to trust. Anyone starts to trust. Are you with me? कहने का मतलब जो भी skills हम यहाँ पे सीख रहे हैं, आप यहाँ पे PCB बनाना सीख रहे हो, you're looking at what a microcontroller is, all those things. Forget about just in this program. All the skills that are being taught to you in the classrooms also. You might be learning how to make a 3D shape or 3D printer or any skill that you may learn. Those skills are truly important. You have to master those skills. But if you think that only by mastering those skills, you can achieve success or enduring effectiveness, that's not it. Are you able to see this? And through this series, what we are trying to do is help you see this point louder. And then start to work on building a very, very strong character, indomitable. Someone who no one can challenge on the character. But any questions until there, any conjecture, any thoughts? Anya?
We talk about what are the rules of, what are the rules that drive people to get success in their life. So how exactly should we answer that question?
Yeah. What are the various traits, for example, which define our character? Integrity, discipline, consistency, compassion.
When we talk about rules, we talk about what's the basic
That beneath the surface.
that you build your entire career on. So I think that even if skill is one of the traits, so if I have an aim and a desire to be something in my life, for that I will try to gain skills in that field. For that I will try to be disciplined and build a passion. So I think all these traits are also built upon your desire and your aim. So I think that's the most basic thing that you build.
I do not have a desire to win anything. Can I then not have a character which is indomitable?
But building a character does not mean getting success or happiness.
वही हमने कहा कि खाली character will not take you to success. You will need the skills. No one has just counted the skills. अगर आपको एक बहुत अच्छा PCB designer बनना है, तो you need to know how to use Altium. You need to know how to use TriCAD, whichever tool you want to. So that skill you need to have. You also need knowledge that how to prevent shielding or how to bring in shielding, how to prevent crosstalk. Knowledge which are we're not discounting that. We are saying that long-term success, knowledge and skills, which our education system so strongly focuses on, are insufficient to ensure long-term success or enduring effectiveness. Character is the mistake. Only when you bring character alongside these skills, long-term success can be assured. In fact, the skills that we need today are very different from skills that you will need 10 years down the line. If you have a strong character, then on that foundation you can develop any new skills because you have the discipline. आप पढ़ लोगे, See how you practice कर लो कि you have perseverance within you. आप फेल हो गए तो भी खड़े हो जाओगे. पर्सनालिटी बिल्ड करना जरूरी है, स्किल्स जरूरी हैं, but sufficient नहीं. That is the point we are making. It is extremely important to know how to put this business model canvas. That is why we taught that also to you. It is very important to know how to build a strategy. That's why we talked about the strategy diamond to you. These are very, very important things. But character is the key ingredient without which, whatever skills you may have, long-term enduring effectiveness will be elusive.
How do you build a
By inculcating these traits, by developing and consciously imbibing these traits into your day-to-day decision making.
and why would someone develop these traits?
For long-term success.
And that is it, that is the.
Effectiveness is for long-term enduring success. Do you think you can ever even exist without a desire?
We can, but they won't.
Can you? See, even to be able to breathe in, even to breathe, there's a desire. If you do not have a desire to breathe, you cannot really survive.
I mean, that's a bit complicated. Even if you don't desire to breathe, it doesn't mean that you'll die. Your brain subconsciously will.
If your brain does not, so see, our you say, brain is so, or our evolution has ensured that our breathing is not in our control. It has put into the involuntary part. So there is this very interesting program about linear engineering. You can do that. And in that, Sadhguru actually takes up this point because he says, why are people not happy? Someone says desire. Desire to बहुत जरूरी है. उसको तो हम सवाल ही नहीं खड़ा कर रहे हैं. Desire तो बहुत जरूरी है because desire नहीं होगी तो आप कुछ भी नहीं कर पाओगे. You will not even survive. Some desires are actually so programmed that it appears like genetic. It is like involuntary for you. That doesn't mean desire is not there. मैं आपका नाक अभी बंद कर दूं. This is the only desire you will have after 30-40 seconds. Just let me breathe. खाना मत दो, कुछ मत दो, but let me breathe. It's so deep rooted that आपको पता ही नहीं, उसका एहसास भी नहीं है. तो desire के बिना तो कुछ नहीं होगा. हम यहाँ पे ये बात कर रहे हैं. See, the title of the program is Leading Self to Excellence. Leading a life of significance. सी में डिजायर आ गई, टाइटल में डिजायर है. डिजायर को डाउट नहीं कर रहे हैं, पर क्या खाली डिजायर होने से आप सक्सेसफुल हो जाओगे? मैं ये चाहता हूं, मुझे वो चीज मिल जाएगी क्या? तो डिजायर को हम डिस्काउंट नहीं कर रहे, स्किल्स को हम डिस्काउंट नहीं कर रहे. हम ये कह रहे हैं बहुतों के पास ये सब कुछ है. Even then, enduring success is elusive. What is the missing element? Character बहुतों के पास है, अगर स्किल नहीं है, वो भी successful elusive.
So, but I have a doubt. We were talking about like minor desires and like physiological or like जीना तो सबको ही है, everyone wants to be happy and live the life of their own choice. But what if we don't have like bigger desires, like सब कुछ होना चाहिए, ये भी वो भी everything, and you think of it as that way कि इतना सब क्यों चाहिए? कि you can live a life of simplicity, normal, and you can be happy, make others around you happy.
एक मिनट यार. You're saying that breathing is a physiological desire, that is a small desire. Let's कोई जरा सा नाक बंद करो. आधे मिनट में you will say नहीं मुझे कुछ नहीं जीतना. This is the biggest desire actually, survival.
Okay.
Everything else is simply psychological, social. Those are minor desires. उनको हमने बड़ा बना रखा है. Because हम we're just outward looking. हम अपने अंदर झांकते ही नहीं.
So, but ये चीज leading self to excellence, and we're talking about success, we're talking about startups and growing tall buildings and everything. So these are minor desires that you're saying.
Yes.
And these are optional, only some people go
Yes.
towards that.
Yes.
And that will bring you either money, fame, or your personal aspirations, अगर तुम्हारे desires होंगे इतने ज़्यादा तो you will sell whatever. But what if you're happy at some like 10 floors की 5 floors पे करा?
Absolutely fantastic. So ये तो कहानी है, बड़ी मजेदार कहानी है अलेक्जेंडर के साथ. Alexander was crossing Persia and he saw a person sitting under a tree. One of the philosophers का नाम मुझे याद है. This person was sitting under a tree and Alexander ने उससे पूछा कि भाई I want to live in India. Essentially, क्या चीजों में तो ये सब मिलेगा. तुम क्यों नहीं चलते? It's such a beautiful dream that I have. It's a beautiful vision that I have. सोने की चिड़िया है. उसको जीतने के लिए वहां से बहुत सारा लोग पाठ करके आएंगे. He started to ask him this question. क्यों करना चाहिए? क्यों करना चाहिए? So, Pedro, let's have this thing here. Whatever you are doing in your life, you are studying, sitting in this classroom, whatever you are doing, why are you doing? Each one of you, this is a question to you. Whatever you are doing in life, why are you doing? You're doing so many things, no? खाना खाते हो, खेलते हो, यहाँ क्लास में आके बैठे हो, हम बातें कर रहे हैं. Why are we doing this?
I think two main reasons for me are to give back to my parents and make them proud. And secondly, to for myself, for what I should be living like and to uplift, like to build a life for us.
To build a life for yourself, which is better than the life that probably your parents could do. Why do you want to do that?
Because of desires that are
Why this desire? Actually, honestly. This is a desire only. Both these two things that you said, that I want to make my parents proud and I want to have a good life, these are desires. Why?
Because situations there are desires. Situations there are desires.
Yes, you will have desires. Why this desire?
Because of the situation. For example, if she was not in a very good condition financially, let's assume that she wasn't able to get.
Forget about her. Let's talk about you.
Okay.
Why are you doing whatever you are doing?
Okay, so I said that situation is the basis for the rest. So if I, for example, if let's say that I wasn't able to get 2 meals a day, is that enough for me? Not at all, because at that point I would be seeing other people enjoying their lives and doing well, dressing well, eating well. So that situation of mine will have me desires to be better than my current self and be in better situation than others I see. So that's why I said that situation where I desires.
But why do you want to be better than others?
Because I'm suffering right now. I mean,
So you do not want to suffer.
yeah.
Why do you not want to suffer?
Okay.
Okay, suffering and pain may not, you see. Do you think you only suffer pain when someone else is eating food? Is it hurting you from there? There's no pain.
If I not benefit.
There's being pain when you're not eating food. People fast. रोजे रखते हैं कि महीने के एक बार खाते हैं दिन में नवरात्रों में औरतों के पेरेंट्स फास्ट करते होंगे शायद आप भी करते होंगे
People that
खाना तो it's not about pain.
that was just an example I think to
Example नहीं so go deep and tell what you think.
Because this is my character. It boils down to your character, to what you want. अगर मेरा character evil होता तो मैं कुछ और भी जा सकती थी.
कुछ भी हो डिजायर से कैरेक्टर छोड़ो
हाँ.
क्या क्यों चाहती हो कि तुम ये कैरेक्टर की बहुत हाइपोथेटिकल बात बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी पेरेंट्स को प्राउड फील करवाने के लिए बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी ऐसी लाइफ क्रिएट करने के लिए जो तुम डिजायर करते हो
उन्होंने भी मेहनत
क्यों
करी है.
करोगे आप वो सब क्यों करना है इतना मेहनत
क्योंकि वो कैरेक्टर पे आता है ना, टू गिव बैक टू.
कंडीशनिंग है कितने लोग नहीं सोचते
एक वो भी है जैसे मैंने बोला सिचुएशन पे होता है कि अगर आप इस सिचुएशन में हो, यू डिजायर टू गेट आउट ऑफ दैट सिचुएशन, वो हो गया. बट आई डोंट थिंक कि हम सिर्फ सिचुएशन के हिसाब से देखना चाहिए. आई थिंक वो सिचुएशन एक वॉल क्रिएट कर देती है कि बस इससे बाहर निकल जाओ. थोड़ा सा वाइडर की अपनी चॉइस भी जहाँ लगे कि चलो ठीक है इस सिचुएशन से तो निकल जाएंगे, पर निकल के क्या करना है.
क्या मिलेगा
फ्रीडम,
फ्रीडम क्यों चाहिए
फ्रीडम टू डू एनीथिंग यू वांट. क्योंकि the world keeps on changing and other things will come, desires change होंगे तुम्हारे and priorities भी change होती रहेंगी. So the freedom to anytime do whatever you want and do whatever seems right to you. अगर तुम्हें किसी को help भी करनी है तो you are able to do that. तो उस हिसाब से to be that able तो वही चीज है.
I value the thought. We still do not have an answer. उससे क्या तुम्हें क्या मिलेगा
यार जिंदगी काटनी है करते भी
तो सवाल वाली बात हो गई
तो वही इस चीज को सर्वाइवल से सिग्निफिकेंस इजंट दिस आल्सो सिग्निफिकेंट कि अगर मैं चाहती हूँ कि अब if I see like let's take street dogs, 100 street dogs being dying and everything, but right now I do not have the means that I can help them all. ठीक है, तो अगर मैं अपने आप को इतना able and if I have that much money then I can do that like at one मेरे एक स्टे पे वो चीज हो जाएगी. तो that point I think that is also significant. It is not surviving.
What do you get when this happens? Some joy, happiness,
Joy.
happiness. You know? You realize that जो भी आप कह रहे हो डिजायर फुलफिल करने के बाद कोई भी तरह के डिजायर को जो भी आप कर रहे हो जो है वो एक्चुअली बाद में आपको जॉय फील करने के लिए कर रहे हो. When I achieve this, I will feel joyful. I will feel happy. आपने जो कहा पेरेंट्स को प्राउड फील, पेरेंट्स का कुछ नहीं है उसमें. Actually, you will feel happy when they are proud of you. Parents. It is not about parents feeling proud. You associated your happiness with their pride. You do what they must have told you. There are some people, so there are people there. I would say that you are lucky that you have parents, but there are people who don't have parents. They died. COVID में पता नहीं कितनी families में ऐसा हुआ कि parents could not survive. तो अब उनके पास तो pride of it's memory of parent. My parent, my father or mother, wherever they may be, they should feel proud of what I have done. It's just a memory. No real parent. But what happens? It gives you that happiness. So if a person can stay happy simply without doing anything, खाना मिले ना मिले, भूखे हैं, प्यासे हैं, कपड़े कैसे भी हैं, they definitely don't need to do anything. Right now, बिल्कुल सही बात है तुमने। अगर मैं आज ही खुश हूँ, इस समय खुश हूँ, then I don't need to do anything. Whatever I may do, I can still do. But it is not a need to do that. But if we have desires through which we are still associating our happiness in the future, that is where this program comes. अगर आप आंखें बंद करो या joyful, blissful, हम सब ने अपनी happiness अपनी happiness अभी कंडीशनल बनाया है। हम तब खुश होंगे जब वो मिलेगा या जब वो हो जाएगा। That's why we need to do all this hard work. Drop this idea of getting a 18 lakh salary. So relaxed. Is it not? You drop all these fancy ideas the world has given you. You will at once start to feel better.
And you start performing better by expectations are.
I'm not saying desires बुरी है. Desires से ही पूरी दुनिया बढ़ी रही है.
Then I wrote a poem about refining.
So रामकृष्ण परमहंस सुना है नाम आपने? रामकृष्ण मिशन आके पूरा सुना is named after this saint Ramakrishna. So he was really just metta and joyful, blissful, happy, कोई टेंशन नहीं। लोग आ रहे हैं, पैर छू रहे हैं, कोई दक्षिणा दे रहा है, कोई नहीं दे रहा है, सब चल रहा है। डिसाइपल सामने बैठे हैं, ये अपना मस्ती से गा रहे हैं, सब हो रहा है, ठीक है। But every day at 1 o'clock he would just turn around and ask his wife, आज खाने में क्या है? कोई और चीजों को मिल रही है, नहीं मिल रही है, कोई बॉदरेशन नहीं। But खाने में कोई रोज पूछ रहे हैं और he is asking ये बना। One day his wife was very perplexed and she mustered the courage to ask him कि आप करे हुए इंसान नहीं बॉदर जी, मैं आपको कुछ भी कह जाए इतना बॉदर, आपको कुछ मिल जाए फर्क नहीं पड़ता, ना मिले फर्क नहीं पड़ता, आप अपना लगे रहते हो काम में, जो करना है करते रहते हो, कोई टेंशन नहीं। पीछे ऐसा क्या आपको? He said, it is only this food, this desire for food that is tying me to this body. The day I do not ask you about food, that is an indication that I will eat for the next 2 days. Desire is the foundation of our existence itself. अगर आपने सारी डिजायर छोड़ दी, त्याग दी, तो आप अपनी बॉडी को भी मेंटेन कर पाओगे। तो डिजायर को हम मना बुरा नहीं कह रहे, ना मना कह रहे। We are saying this, the desire है, achieve it in a way that you are proud of it, you are happy about it, not by hook or crook, but by design. Therefore, we need. Is that thing about desire and everything settled for you? Desire बुरी नहीं है, skills भी चाहिए, सब कुछ चाहिए, तभी सक्सेस है। Otherwise आप संत हो, खुश रह सकते हो, but that is not how you are tuned as of now. Am I right? That is why all this, what do you say, circus. Okay. So this was one statement that Stephen just made. Our first energies should go into our own character development, which is often invisible to others. Like the roots that sustain great trees. As we cultivate the roots, we will begin to see the fruits. So आप खाली roots को cultivate करते तो क्या fruit एक दिन में आता है? नहीं, because it's a gestation period. So अब आप अपने character पे focus करोगे, disciplined way में operate करोगे, class में आना तो time से आओगे. All those things you take care of. Will the results come instantaneously? Sustained effort would be required, but the results will come. आम का पेड़ होगा तो आम आएगा, करेगा होगा तो करेगा आएगा, but fruit आएगा. Are you with me? To what we call as transactional growth. How many of you had tuition when you were in class 7, 8, and some subjects, some tuition happened? What was happening? Your parents saw that and they put the tuition up, study, and your grades improve. So they आपने उसके बाद किसी भी और क्लास में struggled and additional tuition होगा. Sometimes they तेरा coaching होगा, कि चलो JEE की तैयारी करो. Something like that happened. So what is happening? You did something, you got a result. If the result was not up to mark, you will intensify it. 2 दिन की जगह 3 दिन ट्यूशन हो जाएगी, 2 सब्जेक्ट की जगह 3 सब्जेक्ट्स की ट्यूशन हो जाएगी, and the result would equivalently amplified or dim down depending on the. But do you remember that movie Kajal Sampan? And that little boy over there, ट्यूशन लगाते जा रहे थे, लेकिन आउटपुट नहीं आ रहा था. क्या हो रहा था वहां?
Actually, मतलब गलत चीज पढ़ा रहे थे, मतलब
बिल्कुल ठीक पढ़ा
और आप
रहे
तो
थे,
सही रहते
माउंटेन तो माउंटेन कह रहे थे.
but it was something beyond that he could do. And
So this do great thing कि आप कुछ करो और आउटकम आएगा, करो और आउटकम आएगा, ज्यादा करो तो ज्यादा आउटकम आएगा. That is what is called as transactional analysis. Transactional behavior. क्या आपने जितना करा, ज्यादा करा तो ज्यादा, कम करा तो कम. That is how life typically you will see is operated. Am I right? But there are times this breaks. When this fails. ऐसा कोई सब्जेक्ट रहा है जहाँ पे सबसे अच्छे टीचर भी थे, लेकिन आप उस सब्जेक्ट में बिल्कुल मजा ही नहीं आया. ज्यादा पढ़ा तब भी मजा नहीं आया, सब कुछ कर लिया लेकिन फिर भी मजा नहीं आया. ऐसा होगा? व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? आपने ज्यादा पढ़ा, ट्यूटोरियल शीट भी करी, सब करा, लेकिन फिर भी रिजल्ट नहीं आ रहा. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? आप डू तो कर रहे, गेट नहीं हुआ. क्यों?
मन से
फिर क्या होता है? एक दोस्त से बात कर लो, कहते हैं तो उसको ऐसे समझना, तो इमेजिन कर कि ऐसा 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 ऐसे है. Visualization. Now all of a sudden everything becomes clear. Has it happened to you? हाँ, उसको ऐसे भी देख सकते हैं. And then कोई भी क्वेश्चन आया, आप कराटे से उसको सॉल्व कर पाए. हुआ है आपके साथ किसी का ऐसा? So what has happened? What element did you add?
perspective.
Perspective. You added an element of seeing. आपने visualization ऐड कर दिया. Understand? Yes, because you were able to see things differently, you could now act differently. And now the result would come. Are you able to see this? Pun intended. So this is called as a transformational cycle. The earlier one was transactional cycle. 90% of things in your life you can manage in a transactional way. But those 10% of things that create the distinction between success and failure, for you need to bring in the transformational cycle, which is to say that you have to bring an element of seeing things. So this seeing part is called paradigm. Do was behavior, get was the result. When we bring in this concept of paradigm, the entire thing changes. तारे ज़मीन पे क्या हुआ था? What happened in that movie? तारे ज़मीन पे? दर्श बचेगा ना? शान क्या हुआ था उसके साथ?
He was forced to do well in the field that maybe wasn't near for.
डू बैक चल रहा था उसके साथ इनिशियली. सब लोग उसको पढ़ाते थे ना. वो कहते थे कि आउटपुट नहीं आ रहा. डू कर रहे हैं. But they were doing the do according to what 99% of people in the world are doing. It was not working for him. So what did this guy do? Amir Khan क्या नाम था उसका?
He made him see things.
He made him see things different.
He saw things.
He saw things different. What did he see? What did he notice?
That things they were able to get.
That this child was dyslexic. He has such beautiful imagination. He is very, very brilliant, but just not able to comprehend what he or she is reading. Is it the child's fault? But everyone was blaming the child. Was it other people's fault also? Was it the fault of his parents? We don't know. Who thinks कि उनका बच्चा dyslexic हो सकता है? कहाँ आता है thought किसी के mind में? They were treating them like another child. अलग तरह से treat कर तो कोई कहता कि इसको अलग तरह से क्यों treat कर रहे हो? Are you with me? So once that dyslexic element was brought into the equation, what happened? The entire way of teaching him, the formation of characters changed. He could not visually perceive characters. So what was to be done? Sam पे उससे characters है. वो सी को सी समझ सके. Are you able to see this? So once the C was brought in, the do changed. And once the do changed, the get also changed. Are you with me? The entire equation transformed. That is why it is called transformational cycle. That is the power of paradigm. So what is a paradigm?
The way you see things differently.
The way we see things may not be differently. I will be seeing things exactly the same way all of us are seeing. The way we see things is what is called as paradigm. So we do not want to be different at all times. Do you want to be different at all times? I want to be unique. We want to be unique. We want special treatment. Go to a government hospital, I want special treatment. Treat me differently. But once the reports come, you want to be like full average center. Is it not? Yeah. Correct.
Being different at all times, well, tough also.
So, coming back to the paradigm over here. So, paradigm is a very powerful tool that we will use to our advantage. Because only when we bring in a paradigm, we'll be able to bring about a transformation. Okay. I'm leaving you with this thought here. And we will discuss more about paradigm in the next session. Is that okay? So, many of you are still watching or being a part of the session as if it's a movie. It will not help you. You have to engage. And the movie की तरह देखोगे, people को, you have to actively engage. We'll stop here. Pick up again from here in the next session. And any questions?
So would you recommend some book that we should read?
This is entirely based on 7 habits of highly effective people.
So वो बहुत ज़्यादा
So the intent of this series is that इस series के बाद उस report out you can just go through it. तो अभी भी अगर आप उस book को उठाते हो, तो जिस part तक हमने cover कर लिया है, you will realize you will just be able to, capture it in a very different way as we do now. It will not be over. The entire process is such that in these 10, 13, 15 sessions, however many we take, we will be able to imbibe these habits. So reading the book will become important. Anything else? So I felt the energy to be a little low. What is happening? Happening? नहीं? नहीं, खाना खा रहे हैं। क्या हो रहा है? Why is the energy low? Really? I'm confused. I want to understand it better. Not getting sufficient sleep, not interested. What is happening? You should wait for the moment. And he will carry it to come meet up here. Wait for this, you will invite it when it's better. तो बस ठीक लग रहा है किसी को और अगर नहीं लग रहा है तो चैलेंज है ना, ओपन है ना You hesitate to challenge. I think I have tried that. You should not hesitate to challenge. You should be encouraged to challenge. Instead. कभी भी सोचा नहीं है इस तरह एनर्जी सो लो So, by the way, this is not the first time I'm taking this session. I've conducted this series. I can't even count how many times. 30, 40, 50,000. Really? Not bad. I've taught this or taken people through this session more number of times than I've taken people through DVD or MVC. That's it. The mind also. And I'm saying energy is human really, I'm meaning it. ट्रिपल आई टी में भी बहुत बार पढ़ा है ट्रिपल आई टी स्टैंडर्ड से भी एनर्जी
You get for the transaction. We thinking मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगा अभी थोड़ा सा प्रोजेक्ट भी चल रहा है मिनी प्रोजेक्ट भी है we're working on the product also then all these
हमेशा रहेगा ना कुछ ना कुछ तो लाइफ में हमेशा
थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट हो रहा है like from my perspective the electronics अभी थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट लग रहा है तो
But this is therefore, see,
अभी ये तो challenge
when we talked to VVD, na, VVD said that मैं आ रहा हूँ, every session is mine. मैं तो सारे session नहीं दे रहा, एक session तुम्हारा लूँगा होता है उसका. वो तो हमने break करें, तो put in some extra session. रानी को बोला, रानी wants to take a session or two. मैं आ रहा हूँ, ताकि it does not become overwhelming also. Life is not just one thing. So many things that you would want to do in life. And these are other aspects which you should understand and you have to master. To again, not about the startup or not about just the scope, it is about life. These are skills for life. If you participate actively and if you take them back, you will benefit from them for life. Doing this training, when I did that training myself, this was way back in 2009. It was true transformation for me. And it's not to say my life was not good until 2009. I was having a wonderful life, Gala time. It changed the way I handled everything. So very powerful program. आपको हम छोटे छोटे nuggets में दे रहे हैं. हमारे बाद एक concentrated module की तरह कर दिया गया था. Because I was in office and ऑफिस में आ रहा हूँ फिर इसको एक घंटे का निकालना पॉसिबल लेकिन आपको मैं कहूँ 3 दिन एक साथ आ जाओ तो आपको 3 दिन कैसे आ रहा हूँ मेरे को तो सारी और चीजें करनी है सारी और क्लासेस करनी है we can't replicate that model over there and this is also equally good and that is why I said even triple के स्टैंडर्ड से जहाँ पे चीजों को तोड़ के अलग-अलग मॉड्यूल्स में ब्रेक करके कराया जा रहा है उसके हिसाब से भी एनर्जी क्या हो रहा है Are you guys working on your product at all? Or just mini projects or आपका? All of you have one self-led session every day, is it not? That is the time to energize yourself with your product. Or to further take the mini project further. ताकि कहीं पे भी आपको कोई परेशानी आ रही है तो आप उसको आगे ले जा सकते हो. Self-led session का मतलब ये नहीं है कि others are not available or others are not available. They are all available. We are giving you that free time so that you decide. You are the masters of that. One session every day. Every day we have one such session, is it not? What are you doing in that? You continuing with them. If that is your choice. What about others? हम तो होते ही नहीं हम तो आते ही सेल्फ लेड मतलब छुट्टी क्लासेस हर सेल्फ लेड सेशन में तो क्लास नहीं हो सकती है आप एट मोस्ट एक कोर्स कर रहे हो ऑफलाइन तो एट मोस्ट 2 सेल्फ लेड सेशंस हो सकता है कि आपकी क्लास हो बाकी 3 तो फिर भी अवेलेबल each one of you how are you utilizing those sessions छुट्टी मना रहे हो तो बाद में बहुत स्ट्रगल करोगे I am telling this to you based on experience from your previous cohorts because अगर आप अभी उन सेशंस को केयरफुली नहीं लोगे तो आप रियलाइज करोगे 15 दिन बाद productivity goes almost every session is a separate session. There's no one else even looking at you. आपको तो छुट्टी हो जाएगी फिर क्या करोगे? So यहाँ पे वो देख सकते हैं कैरेक्टर वाली बात आ रही है. Please use that 1.5 hours as judiciously as you can. All of you have a desire. If nothing else, a desire to get a good grade. They're not. Okay, I hope higher desire where you want to make an impact on the world, leave a legacy behind you. I really hope that. But if nothing, at least a trivial desire of getting a good grade is there. Survival, that is a survival
So I
instinct.
have a doubt about the pitches that we made. So you keep on saying that, think of the higher impact of your product or what you're gonna get into the world or ये सब चीजें. ठीक है, but वो चीज कभी-कभी 6 महीने में possible नहीं लगती and we propose a thing that कि ठीक है बहुत बड़ी चीज ये करेंगे हम. But जो judgment हुई थी that was based on कि तुम
So
कितना possible है, easy चीजें.
I would read that feedback in a very different way. Or I would read this. Wow, I'm happy about this impact that you want to create. But what are you going to do in the next 6 months? Did I not tell you that they will judge you on what is your POC going to be? So if you were not talking about what are you going to demonstrate in the next 1 month, and they were challenging you कि 6 महीने की ये तुम जो बातें कर रहे हो ये तो हवा की बातें हैं, क्या करने वाले हो? That was the feedback. The key thing that they were testing was that do you really know what are you going to do in the next 1 month? क्या क्या assumptions हैं आप क्या implement करने वाले हो? Obviously आपका impact इतना बड़ा आप करना चाहते हो. I'm happy about that. You might be on a BTP, so you have 1 more semester to do this. Grade 3, यहाँ पे क्या deliverable देने वाले हो? Where is the plan? Of this big thing, what is the small thing that you're going to work on? To show that you are on that pathway. That was what the question was. That was what the feedback was. The feedback was not to drop the vision. The feedback was to identify what exactly are you going to work on in the next few months. That big picture is always extremely important. Don't construe their feedback as saying that they want you to just do the small stuff. No. They want you to find your feet and say, this is my path. Do that place. आप खाली destination की बात करो, path की बात ना करो. That was what the feedback was. Able to see this? वो पाथ पे तो हमें काम करना है. तभी तो आप पूछ रहा हूँ कि आप उस पाथ को बनाने में काम करो जो सेल्फ-लेड सेशंस हैं. Those are for that. Every day we are giving you time to work on your capstone. To ensure that that pathway becomes evident. मिनी प्रोजेक्ट खत्म होगा उसके साथ साथ आपका POC का डेमो भी आ जाएगा within a week. अगर आप अभी नहीं सोच रहे हो तो कैसे पहुंचोगे वहां तक? You remember I told you our friend September first week में there will be a next presentation or something. So क्या प्रूव करने वाले हो तब? Already आज क्या डेट हो गई? 19 अगस्त. अगर 5 सितंबर को भी अगर आपका POC का डेमो है तो आप कहाँ हो? कितना दूर हो उससे? आप डेमो कर पाओगे POC? You're too far away from the POC. Come down. Are you getting that? See, नहीं तो जो next evaluation होगा उसमें भी आपसे हवा नहीं होगी. फिर ऐसा ही feedback मिलेगा. जबकि आपको पता है कि evaluate क्या होने वाला है. POC में क्या प्रूव करना चाहोगे? सबसे पहले तो वो चीज आपको पता होनी चाहिए. What was the doubt? What was the assumption that you want to clarify? And I haven't talked about assumption. That each one of us makes assumptions about the product. When we start to get answers to those assumptions, that is what the job of the POC is. So क्या आपने अभी वो assumption दो क्वेश्चन लिखी है अपने प्रोडक्ट के बारे में? Have you clearly defined the specifications of your POC? Have you started to work towards your POC? If your assumption is failing, are you going to simply drop it, or are you going to experiment something else? Are you leaving some margin for iterations? हो सकता है मेरे सेटअप की वजह से मैंने तार टूटने लगा ब्रेडबोर्ड गलत था उस वजह से कोई चीज गड़बड़ हो जा रही है कॉन्सेप्ट एक्चुअली काम करता हो लेकिन मेरे सिस्टम में नहीं काम कर रहा बिकॉज़ देयर वाज सम अदर एनवायरमेंटल इशू हैव यू केप्ट मार्जिन फॉर दैट इन द फाइनलाइजेशन एंड यू आर प्लानिंग फॉर योर पीओसी आप सबकी आंखें बता रही हैं कि नहीं दैट वाज व्हाट द फीडबैक ऑन मैंने तो बहुत अच्छा है बट फाइनली एट द एंड ऑफ द सेमेस्टर एक चीज दिखानी है चीज डेमोंस्ट्रेट करनी है उससे कैसे सर्टिफिकेट मिलेगा उस पे कहां जा रहे हैं मैंने वो कहानी बताई थी बताई थी तो बात मैं बहुत सुनाता हूँ so there were three people working on bricks there was a building under construction this person was passing by asked the first person what are you doing दिखने का ही है तो होगा next person what are you doing अपनी रोजी रोटी कमा रहा हूँ I have a family to feed so I'm working towards that third person oh मैं मंदिर बना रहा हूँ who do you think was the most joyful that's why पर तो भी नहीं थोड़ा वाला बना पाया था why was he joyful because the vision so आपके पास एक विजन है बहुत अच्छी बात है but that doesn't mean India नहीं तो only what we insisted in the first part was to have a vision and then forward thinking किसी भी कोर्स में आपको ये नहीं कराया जाता है life is not lived like that if you start to live like the सीधे तोड़ने वाला काम then you will never be joyful but if you have that vision then even if you're doing complete drudgery you'll still enjoy it because you have that mission and the vision in front of you. That was why that vision is important, and that is why this vision is important even today. When we are saying that we want to increase farmer incomes 2x or profitability by 2x by reducing the cost of de-yielding, that's a very valid vision. अब उसके लिए चाहे आपको किसी भी के 4 चक्कर लगाने 4 आइटरेशन में बिजली बनेगा चाहे 10 में बनेगा that gradually you will go through because आपका जो objective है that is far more noble than you yourself. Are you able to see this? But don't think कि खाली desire होने से मेरा objective नहीं हो जाएगा desire की बात desire के साथ competence चाहिए skill चाहिए hard work चाहिए discipline चाहिए बहुत कुछ चाहिए खाली desire से कुछ नहीं होगा that's the feedback अगली बात desire बहुत अच्छी कर क्या है तो प्लीज मैंने क्लास के शुरू में भी यही कहा था that seriousness is missing. Even in the class I felt that energy was missing. Now again I'm saying that you're not really realizing that you are the masters of this program. This is not like a regular course. This is a project. Course की तरह से कोई आपको spoon feeding नहीं करेगा. And if you do not take ownership and responsibility of your work and your project, you struggle with time towards the end of it. This grading तो उसी पे होती जो दिख रहा है. अगर अभी आप ownership अभी से नहीं लोगे, अभी से अपने आप को एनालाइज करना नहीं सीखोगे, तो struggle with time. तो बनाओ मिनी प्रोजेक्ट तो बनाना ही बनाना है, but मिनी प्रोजेक्ट is still guided. आपका जो अपना प्रोजेक्ट है, उसमें क्या हो रहा है? That also. और सेल्फ लेड सेशन का मतलब 3 पीरियड नहीं है अगर आपको ये लग रहा है अगर आप इस बुलावे में हो सेल्फ लेड सेशन इज अ सेशन where you have to actually put your heart and soul into making that temple I'm taking this for now then other stuff I mean ये होने से भी टेंपल नहीं बन जाता बहुत सारी कोर्स स्किल भी सीखनी है सब कुछ करना है उसी लिए वो मिनी कार वाले चीजें चल रही हैं कि 3 डिफरेंट करके आपको समझ में आए हर चीज आपको समझ में आए सब होगा बट बनाना तो पेड़ है ना बनाना तो अपना जो भी आप ड्रीम करो नेता, तो प्लीज टेक ओनरशिप ऑफ इट। मैं तो अपने एक ही बार आ रहा हूँ आपके पास, बाकी you need to come to me. You can still ask for time and meet me. You have doubts if you need more clarity or anything. But I would say take ownership of this. I'm not going to give you a grade. You are going to earn a grade. That will not from me, from a committee. उस evaluation में खा लेंगे. Evaluation में, but I will not be a part of almost any evaluation. Only the test that you have in the end of the semester. Those tests, you have 6, 7 tests in modules and हर module का एक test होगा. उसमें will ask you about what is the difference between transactional and transformational cycle, what is that. We will ask you all of this there. So, उस टेस्ट का क्वेश्चन पेपर मैं बनाऊंगा, चेक भी और करेगा. ठीक है. I'm not going to give you grades. You don't need to earn them. You don't take ownership of this, then you not have earned. See, from what I understand, most of you are taking this program, or many of you are taking this program to अभी एक level of GP है to leapfrog into a different level. They're not, because it's a completely project-based thing. Seemingly easier to earn a grade. Easier, but yes, it requires discipline. It requires that strength of character. Please learn that. Are you able to see this? So, I'm concerned. मुझे वो enthusiasm नहीं दिख रहा, मुझे वो energy नहीं दिख रही. That is why. After that, artificial sources से औरों से motivation नहीं मिलता. मतलब how long can I motivate you artificially? मतलब नहीं हो पाएगा ना. मैं तो अपने एक बार आ रहा हूँ, मैं ना motivate करूँगा. You have to learn how to drive yourself. So this series will look into those tools also. But जब तक हम वहाँ नहीं पहुँचे तब तक तो drive करना है. Please put yourself together and apply yourself to this. Are you with me? चलो.